So once upon a time, I had a lot of superhero analogies. The paper that I wrote on was a Wonder Woman. On my keys, there's a Wonder Woman something or other. Not that I related to Wonder Woman. I was more Power Girl. See, I have to remember. Yeah, I was Power Girl. You get that. You were Power Girl. She's blonde. But we are not superheroes. How many are familiar with the movie X-Men? X-Men. Yeah. If you haven't seen an X-Men movie, watch it after this. There's 2 movies I'd recommend you watch after this. The Martian. Yes. I very much felt like that. Very much. I'm like, I feel like I've gone to Mars. I actually said to somebody at some point in time, maybe when I realized the stroke was just a precursor to the cancer and I was just finished my surgery and just finished my neuropsych evaluation. And I said to the neuropsych guy, okay, I got to do this, 6 hours, let's do this test because I got to go in for chemo tomorrow. Giddy up, let's get this done. Yeah, crazy. But the point is, you'll feel like an X-Men, you'll feel like a Martian, you'll feel like you've gone to some other planet, but it's all for a reason. And I said to them, oh, I volunteered to do this, right? We're looking for somebody who's going to experience a stroke and cancer and let us know what that's all about. Just like these guys volunteer to go to other planets. And, you know, if you're familiar with the story of the NASA stories, my husband's a huge night sky fan, NASA fan. These guys who first went to the moon, Anderson or Armstrong and the guy with the name, Buzz Aldrin, Aldrin, right? Very different personalities, but they all had a really hard time. I can't say the guys who have been to, you know, other planets and missions and stuff in the last 20 years, but those first heroes, it was very hard for them. Because once you go there, it's kind of like bodybuilding. Once you've been 5% body fat and you've met Arnold backstage, which I have, and it was one of my goals, then what? So you're 12% body fat and you're out of shape, right? Once you do 60 push-ups, I can only do 40. Man, I suck. If you did a chin-up with a 45-pound plate on your waist, I can only do them with a 10-pound plate. It's hard, but you kind of got to let that go because it's all about being your best at this moment. You can never get back a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, many of you here, I know some of your stories, you are different people. So my brain is different, but I bet you if we looked at your brains, they'd probably be different too. So I'm not that different from everybody else. It's just that it happened to me in a very short period of time, very quickly, very rapidly, very extremely, and to the point where you don't know if you're going to live or not, more than once, many times. So that's why I kind of share with you that you are X-Men, not superheroes. X-Men have been torn between the light and the dark. They've struggled, sometimes for months or years, and then they find some depth, some strength within them, and they come up and out bigger, stronger, better. And that's what you are. You're an X-Men. Sorry. Yeah. You and me both. I need you guys. You know, we all need each other. That's the beauty of being an X-Men too, is that it's not done in isolation. There's a whole team of people that are there surrounding each other and there for each other, and they got each other's backs, and they all have different superhero strengths, right? Different abilities, different X-Men, different mutations. I absolutely believe it now when I can see a bird in the tree a mile away. Sorry, I actually am an X-Men, I'm just saying. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you. You know, anything can be good or bad. There's so many things that you can look at this, whether it's cancer or a bad day on the platform or an injury or an illness that has taken you out or something in your family that needs to be attended to and you can't train with the kind of vigor or the kind of schedule that you would normally. It all is how you handle it, how you deal with it. The exact same thing, as you know, can happen to two people. How they respond, how they handle it is what makes it good or bad. So I want you to kind of take that with you. Everything has a dark side. and everything has a light side. And I have been to the dark side, laying there like it was actually dark. And I'm a very naturally positive person. That has remained with me, but it was hard. It was a challenge every single day to find something that made sense in all of this. So some of my best advice for you, just from this, and this could change at any time. If you ask me tomorrow what my best advice is for you, it would be different. But beyond X-Men, because that's worth taking with you, putting in your pocket, you're an X-Men. Thank goodness. I need you guys too. Some days you'll feel great, and your training will be crappy. How many of you experience that? Great day, crappy training. Some days your day will suck, and you'll have awesome training, right? I'm glad you guys know that, because that's one of the lessons I learned through many, many years of powerlifting. It doesn't matter. So you check your stuff at the door, literally, and allow your body to feel each set, each rep, each exercise, and be okay. There's not a lot of egos in powerlifting, but it's worth me kind of sharing with you. If you can't do a certain exercise one day or can't get up to that max weight that you envision, that's okay. This past Monday, I had a day where I could barely lift my arm. Like, I try and get off the couch, and I'm doing this. But then the next day, I will level up. It has happened every single time. Post-stroke, it happened like every 6 weeks. And post-stroke, again, your brain is totally rattled. So I'd be like, I'd be crying for an hour and a half, making no sense, rolling around on the floor. And then I started to learn, oh, this is good. Because in a day or two, I'm going to level up. But you have to go through that pain of that crappiness in order to get that new high. So remember, on those days where it feels really bad, you got something really good coming up. Yay! Wendy Vint was one of my very first trainers in about 1999, and she did obstacle course and physique, and she was also an endurance runner. And she was the one who shared with me, check your baggage at the door. It sounds so simple, but that has stayed with me, and that's been 20 years. Bill Jamieson was my first powerlifting coach. How many people know Bill Jamieson? Yeah, Bill is awesome. Contrary to what people might think, this is the guy who founded Ontario Powerlifting and Canadian Powerlifting Union. We would not be here, not a single one of us, if it wasn't for Bill. I trained with him for many years. He's like my second father. He's an amazing human being, and he's a Seventh-day Adventist. He is as proud and strict in what he believes in as anybody would be, and I respect that a lot. That might come from a little bit of my policing background, but he's an awesome human being. And one of the things that he taught me was slow progress is good progress. Right? Slow progress is good progress. And I remember that when I was going through this, slow progress is good progress. Slow progress is good progress. It was hard, but I remembered these things. I carried them with me forward during those difficult days, weeks, months, years. This is something I will tell you and share with you that is very physical. This might seem super simple. So if you do this little exercise, it's actually like dancer position number 2. Your heels are together, your knees are slightly bent, and you're going up and down. You will ignite the muscle from the arch of your foot way up to the upper portion of your thigh, right? This is something that I do all the time. Drag that foot in, pull that foot in. But you guys, if any of you have been involved in physique, you might get this and know this. It's one of the reasons Frances is so freaking strong, is because she did bodybuilding for like a decade before that. There is benefits. So when I left powerlifting and went into bodybuilding, again, to see like, what the heck is this all about? Why do we badmouth this? These are some of the things I learned. When I came back to powerlifting for a short period of time, after bodybuilding, I'm stronger. Leaner, stronger, my posture was better. So some of these little bodybuilding things I'll share with you, because it'll make you stronger, right? And I was only a bodybuilder for 3 years. So those little things that I picked up are very helpful to the overall strength picture. Because back in the day, Mike Menzer, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they didn't really consider them bodybuilders, powerlifters. They were just lifters. Some showed off their physique, some showed off their strength. But they're actually much more similar than you know. Very similar to cancer, stroke. Total opposites. So cancer is bodybuilding, stroke is powerlifting. Stroke, powerlifting, that is also X-Men. Bodybuilding, cancer is superheroes. The same but total opposite. So as long as you understand that, then you can all come together. Not that I believe in any way, shape, or form that this is the type of group to badmouth anybody. I do not believe that. But the point is, we're all much more alike than we know, much more similar. And as long as you X-Men can get along and appreciate those superheroes, when you guys get together, explosive, right? Dynamic. So I thank you a lot for this time. There's one thing that I wanted to carry forward, 2 tributes. One, Joe Fabiani. During my darkest, lowest days, he would send me a text message every 3-4 weeks, about 3 weeks, like clockwork. Hey, high five, exclamation point, muscle, you got this, hang in there, it's all good. Joe left, passed away in May. He had cancer, a very unique and rare kind of cancer, but he was an awesome person. So we lose a lot of people to cancer, but he would appreciate me talking about him today. He got me through the hardest times. And Sarah Frankel. How many of you guys know Sarah Frankel? Yeah, Sarah and I were powerlifting partners 1999 to 2006. We trained together. We competed together in New Zealand, the other side of the world. Awesome experience. She survived breast cancer 6 months before I went through my cancer. Exact same things that she experienced. So surgery, chemo, radiation, and she's on the other side also. So again, I said X-Men hang out together, right? We're not in isolation. So I honor them and I bring this forward and your energy forward to them. And thank you so much for listening to my story. I appreciate it.
Because a long time ago when
oh my God,
Krista,
I remember this.
So I excuse me for just a minute. Part of my introduction today didn't have my history with Krista. This might happen, but I want to share just really briefly my history. Because I knew of Krista for a while. I saw her online and I thought, who is she? And look what she's doing. She's doing this powerlifting thing. And I thought, I'd really like to meet her. And then out of the blue, I get a message from this woman. And I remember speaking to you one night, and I said, it's unbelievable that you've contacted me because I wanted to meet you, and I wanted to, I felt that we should meet. And Krista came to me and said, my history in powerlifting is such, and I want to get into bodybuilding. And I said, well, it's interesting because when I started bodybuilding, I thought to myself, I'd like to do powerlifting someday. And I had the privilege of coaching Krista for that 1.5 to 2 year time period and seeing her competed together on stage at Nationals in 2008. And Krista went to the Arnolds and experienced that 5th place finish and all those things that you heard about. And I've just been fortunate to have known her because then she called me out and said, hey, Francis, we got a powerlifting competition in 6 weeks. Why don't you come out and do that? And of course, I said, all right. And the rest is history. And that said, I was going through some old stuff in here, and there's a highlight of you in this magazine. And then I thought that you should have that bodybuilding success, which is kind of a very cool thing. So I thought maybe that should go back into your library. Don't throw that away.
No.
But I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one to have been impacted by Krista. And Krista, you made too many references for me to reference back. And this is about community ultimately, okay? And you're here to remind us so much about that, not just sharing your story, but to remind us of the community. And I know these two ladies have their sharing as well. I want to give Linda just an opportunity, and then Linda. I don't know what it is about Linda's, but
it's the Lindas. That's it.
Yeah.
But honestly and truly, this woman was the first person to really influence me and get me started at the age of 58.
And then probably when I was about 45, I was, for people who don't know me, I was extremely obese all my life. And I decided at 45 that I wanted to do a bodybuilding contest before I was 50. But I didn't know anything about that. But I had read about, in my local paper, because our two small communities are very close together, this Krista person would pop up every once in a while. I was like, she looks like I want to be. So, because I was the kid who would, write letters to Queen Elizabeth and expect an answer back. I didn't get answers back. Of course I did. So I contacted Krista probably by email, and I think I probably even made up an email address where I found it, and I said I'd like to be going to bodybuilding, and can you help me? And she said, I can't help you, I'm too busy right now, but I have someone I can send you to. She said, Francis. Yeah. So then we have this circle, and when Francis did her first powerlifting competition at 5-star, I went to watch her, and I had already done my bodybuilding, and so I watched this sport where these amazing women of all shapes and sizes were coming out, and they were like covered in chalk, and they were sweating, and there was things hanging out and pushing out, and when you're doing a bodybuilding, you're all about it's in, it's doing this, and there's a wrinkle there, and I know that guy on the camera is going to get that wrinkle, and you do powerlifting, and no one cares. No one cares. It's like they're celebrating that. Yeah, I got that too, And I watched these women, and I was just like, I want to. This is it. This is it. This is my group. These are my people. And so I want to do a competition. And Francis was going to Europe for a couple months or something, and so I said, I'm going to ask Krista to teach me how to powerlift. And so then I phoned her again, and she said, come to my basement. And I went to her basement 2 or 3 days a week. In 9 weeks, we did my first competition at the Niagara Open. And Frances was my coach that day, and she ran my numbers. And there was many people that I met for the very first time that are just like my powerlifting family now. And people saying, when I'm warming up, I'm going, wow, you got a good deadlift and stuff. And I still remember the person, I remember the picture, I remember all of that. I remember Glenn Moore coming up to me afterwards and saying, you can join my team or this and that. And I was just like, wow, these are great people. Because like, what did I do? I mean, I squatted like 65 kilos or something, right? I'm a little bit better now, not much. It's slow progress is progress. So these are why I love these people.
You got to get the X-Men uniform.
Yeah.
So you can join our community. We're honored to call you an Iron Sister, and we're so very happy. And we signed up for it.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you guys.